Hey, I'm Beau. Do you hate to read? Well, we're going to talk about the motivations and attitudes toward the experience of reading today. Stay tuned. Hey, and welcome back. So, on a recent car trip with my family, I had the opportunity to read some Edgar Allan Poe for them. And I read aloud The Telltale Heart, one of my favorite stories in all of literature. It's psychotic and amazing and really mind bending to find the parallels between ourselves and these characters in the stories. To tell this story from my kids' perspective, it was you're going to read like, I don't know, it's only like 4 pages of material. You're going to read all that right now in the car while we ride? Yes, I am. Well, the whole conversation kind of struck me as somewhat of a mirror for our society, where we'll engage with Snapchat or Instagram for pictures, and then Twitter and Facebook for readable posts. We'll do that all day and actually read comment sections. We'll probably read more on our device or on our computer screen than we have read in a book in years in one day. So I figured I would just create a video and talk about some of these, I call them motivations and attitudes for the experience of reading. It could be the content. Also, it could have a lot to do with the experience itself and your attentiveness. Let's quickly look at a different example. So let's say you hate your job. The best way to improve your experience at work would be to change those motivations and attitudes. A few things you could do, and you could see this across any workplace. You want to empathize with coworkers, find friends, build community networks, tether yourself to that community. You want to challenge yourself as well, so that you don't get caught up in a really monotonous, humdrum reality at your workplace. Set attainable goals that you can reach, and it'll feel good, and you'll want to set another goal. And last but not least, focus on parts of the experience that you genuinely enjoy, like your friendships. A great example, and one of my favorite, is Steve Harvey on the Kings of Comedy. He talks about the lady, Miss Odell, whom he would go to church with. Before, he didn't enjoy church. It was just so dull and boring. But he found out that people cussed in church, so he decided he would go and sit next to Miss Odell every week. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You have some part of the experience that you can focus on that will actually enhance the entire experience as a whole. This same kind of strategy can be implemented for reading. We already read more than we realize we read. If you had a mental pedometer for the amount of words you read online, it would amaze you at how much you actually read per day. So why is that? We empathize with experiences. We empathize with emotions and drama and things that excite us. So we don't mind reading those things. So if we transfer that empathy toward characters in a story, or for me, characters in the Bible, to help me understand and really connect with the story. So I would think of, like in Luke 18, when Jesus is telling about the parable of the prayer of the Pharisee and the prayer of the tax collector. Knowing the context of the tax collector, just a betrayer, a traitor of the Hebrew people, just hated by all. Then also looking at the Pharisee, the arrogance and the self-righteousness. Goodness, I really connect with both characters. I can see myself in both characters, and I can empathize with both prayers at times, so there's a lot of depth in that scripture when I can empathize with the story. Psalm 42, David writes, "As a deer pants for flowing streams, so my soul pants for you. Oh God, my soul needs you." Those things really connect with us on a personal, deep level. So those scriptures are really easy to get into and stay in and stay engaged with. When I do a dramatic reading of a story like The Telltale Heart, you have the old man screeching, and you have the main character really wickedly silent, and I made every reading really creepy and really over the top. And that's kind of how I do a dramatic reading. And my kids were looking at me like, what is going on? But by the end of the story, they were locked in, wanting to know what's going to happen with these police officers that have come in, and they bought it that this guy knows nothing about this old man. Oh my goodness. And then all of a sudden, the beating heart was so strong that he knew they could hear it. I love that story. When I told it to my kids, the passion that I read that story with was conveyed to them in my delivery, my attitude, and in my delivery. So I would suggest that when you're reading, especially like fiction and some great stories, try to read with the same passion that the writer wrote with. Because if you just read Telltale Heart face value, it loses a lot in translation. But when you actually read it with the emotion that it was meant to be read with, it conveys a lot more weight and gravity. So one other part of this equation is the medium with which you receive the things you read. So you have your phone or your computer. That's how you read Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Those outlets of information are going to generally be more attractive because the medium with which you receive that information is also more attractive. The phone, the computer, and tablet, and whatever else. So to kind of bridge that gap with books, I'm all about an amazing binding. An amazing binding on a book like this Legacy of Faith edition. This is the John Bunyan edition. It is leather bound, hardcover. It's a joy to read. It lays flat, has a large printing. So these sort of things help me retain a love for reading in a physical book, because the medium with which I receive the words that I read is way more attractive and pleasing to hold and read from. So when we look at why people have these really nice Bibles, it's just the same words. It's the same words. Why are you worrying about the leather? Y'all just worship leather. No. So the leather adds to the appeal, to the experience of reading as a whole, because it is the medium that we receive the experience through, much like your phone is the medium with which you receive your emails through. It could be more or less enjoyable based on the phone, even regardless of what your emails say. So having leather bindings and great paper and a large printing and nice ribbons and those sort of things, yes, that doesn't change the text, but it definitely affects the experience. So, love to read. Regain the love of reading. I recommend that you dive into some leather bindings. The smell, the feel changes your whole perspective on the experience as a whole. Another thing that could help you when reading, especially reading a lot, is try an audiobook. Read along with an audiobook. Check out audible.com. Have it read to you while you're reading through the book. That's super helpful for me. You can also put it on 1.5 times speed and really motor through some pages. So those are just a few ideas that might help you regain or gain a love for reading. Also, engage with a community. We have Everything Bibles for the Bible reader. You have Bible study groups. Also, for book readers, you have book clubs. You have different reading groups for certain authors and stories that you can really take part in that'll help keep you encouraged to keep diving back into that book or back into the Bible. So that's all I've got for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to leave any comments, questions, or critiques in the comment section below. And if you didn't like this video, you know what to do. But if you did, give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe, as well as hitting the notification bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. And as always, God bless.